whether it's Microsoft's purchase of Nokia for $7.2 billion, or Twitter's purchase of TweetDeck for $40 million, or even when Facebook absorbed Instagram for $4 billion, the anatomy of these deals aren't too different than when one privately held company acquires another privately held company. Generally speaking, there are two alternative models for an acquisition. Both acquisition models start with a letter of intent. In the traditional acquisition model, we move to a purchase agreement where we go through important terms between the parties that were covered by the letter of intent, but much more. And in that purchase agreement, we set forth some important representations and warranties relating to the business's performance. And the parties will negotiate other terms as a part of it too. And then we move to the next phase, which involves the due diligence itself. And what we're trying to do in due diligence is verify that the representations made by the seller relating to business performance and the buyer relating to capacity and authority are true and correct. And from there we move to the financing discussion, which relates to the buyer's ability to financially proceed, capacity. The closing is a whole new set of documents dealing with the purchase agreement covenants and representations, but more too. And finally, there are some post-closing obligations that we need to attend to as well. The less used, frequently used, quick close alternative involves a more detailed letter of intent that is really on the cusp of becoming a purchase agreement. And then we move from there to the due diligence. And this is prior to any significant involvement by lawyers. Once due diligence has been completed, the parties then move to a final close agreement based upon the letter of intent terms. And while that document is still called a purchase agreement, it would be more aptly named a closing agreement. The quick close alternative seems to be more prevalent when there are individuals or companies that are actually representing the transaction itself, like an investment bank or a business broker. And just like the traditional close of an acquisition, there are some post-closing obligations as well. Perhaps some working capital shore-ups that occur 6 months or so later. This is the anatomy of an acquisition, but each step is far more detailed than what I've described here, and we would be happy to jump into a discussion with you and your company about acquisitions.